Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Aviators St. Helena, episode 5. My name is Kabir and I'm the host on the show with Warwick.
Today on the show we'll be talking about the most recent calibration flight at the airport and also about what calibration flights are. Enjoy the episode.
This is the Aviators St. Helena. This Aviators St. Helena episode is produced in partnership with St. Helena Airport Limited. To find out more about St. Helena's airport, visit www.sthelenaAirport.com. To find out about visiting St. Helena, visit the St. Helena Tourism website at www.sthelenaTourism.com. A very warm welcome to the Aviators St. Helena virtual studio. So I'm here with Warwick and we are going to be talking about calibration flights. What are they and how do they work? So let's start by exploring the concept. So we're going to give you some background on St. Helena Airport to lead us into this discussion. So St. Helena Airport has a number of ground-based navigation aids and these are used to guide aircraft safely into land. So these navigation aids are an offset localizer, which is offset by 5 degrees, a DVOR, which is a Doppler very high frequency omnidirectional range, and a distance measuring equipment, so DME. And these are all used by arriving aircraft to locate the airfield and to offer a safer approach to the island. These are non-precision landing aids, and this means that a pilot has to have visual sight of the runway from a height of about 1,300 feet before they can attempt a landing.
Most airports around the world use an ILS system, Instrument Landing System, to assist them upon arrival. The system is installed at the end of the runway, which emits a beam down the center line of the runway, so that aircraft are able to follow that beam to make a safe landing. St. Helena does not have one of these systems due to high ground just off the center line of the runway. In order to land safely, you need to be able to see the runway at a sufficient distance. Hence, there is no ILS system in St. Helena.
Since there's no ILS system on the island, it's crucial that navigation aids that are on the island are checked very often. This happens on the ground. However, there's also a requirement for this to happen and for these aids to be checked by air. And this is to ensure that all of the information that the navigation aids are giving out is all correct. And this is where the calibration flight comes into play.
On the 15th of September 2015, a Beechcraft Super King 8200, which was operated by TAB Charters of South Africa, was the first fixed-wing aircraft to land at St. Helena Airport. The purpose of the flight was to check that the calibration of the newly installed ground-based navigation aids. This was to prepare for the certification and opening of the airport. The aircraft ZS-TAE has been coming back for regular trips to the island to ensure that its navigation aids are up to date.
So these ground-based navigation aids are checked by flying a number of predetermined circuits from various distances from the airfield in order to ensure and check the signal strength accuracy. So these are then compared with the expected results to see if there are any deviations or deficiencies in the system. And if there are abnormalities found in the system, they are investigated further and corrected to ensure that the flights can operate safely to the island. So some of the first calibration flights in St. Helena were conducted in 2015, and they revealed that the navigation aids actually needed to be moved from their original position to offer better levels of accuracy of the signal. And since then, the flights have found no abnormalities in the system, and they have remained very accurate and calibrated. So since the first flight in September 2015, the calibration flights have been performed approximately every 6 months to test the navigation aids. However, like most things, due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the shutdown of international borders, it's become necessary to change the way that the navigation aids have been checked. As such, so St. Helena Airport Limited instituted a much more rigorous ground-based testing and checking regime to allow for an extension of that normal 6-month flight check. So monthly checks have on the calibration of the navigation aids are now performed weekly, and checks previously performed weekly are now performed daily. And so this gives the regulator of the airport more confidence in the ongoing accuracy. But with borders recently opening up in Southern Africa, it was possible for a window of opportunity to be exploited at the beginning of November. And when President Cyril Ramaphosa opened up South Africa's borders internationally, this allowed TAB charters and FCSL to visit St. Helena Airport so that they could conduct the flight checks while still adhering to all COVID-19 preventative measures required by the St. Helena government. So as a result of the flight check, the navigation aids were again found within acceptable limits and no required correction. Combined with the results of the ground-based checks, this has given the regulator a lot more confidence to be able to change the frequency of the flight checks from 6 to 12 months. As such, the next flight check is not due until October or November next year in 2021, as opposed to May 2021. And the change in frequency of flight checks is only possible due to the enhanced checking and testing regime that exceeds the manufacturer's requirements, and it actually satisfies the regulator that the airport can now continue to support safe operations in and out of the airfield. And so thank you for that. This was very special thanks to James Kellett, who is from St. Helena Airport. The information I was just explaining to you there came from him. And so it's actually very interesting to see that actually COVID has had its silver linings, and it's been able to now allow St. Helena Airport to only pull through their flight checks every 12 months as opposed to 6 months, which is really quite interesting.
You're listening to the Aviators St. Helena, produced in partnership with St. Helena Airport Limited.
This is an extension of the Aviators South Africa podcast. Find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and more. Also, if you need additional assistance, email us at theaviatorsouthafrica@gmail.com.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Aviators St. Helena. Special thank you to St. Helena Airport Limited. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like, subscribe, and enable notifications so that you'll get notified when we release a new video. There are many more Aviators St. Helena videos to come, so stay tuned. Stay safe and happy flying.
My darling, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.